Just a few days ago, I heard a remarkably good radio interview with Richard Horton, who is the editor-in-chief of the preeminent medical scientific journal, The Lancet. He was speaking about COVID-19. And then the most recent edition of The Lancet just crossed my computer screen, and sure enough, there was a major editorial by Richard Horton on the same subject. And then I suddenly realized that he's just written a book called The COVID-19 Catastrophe: What Went Wrong and What Can We Do About Not Letting It Happen Again. And I want to do something on Richard Horton in this commentary because by and large he confirms the kinds of things that AIDS-free world has been saying. I mean, when Stephen Lewis says it, you can simply dismiss it, but you can't dismiss Richard Horton. He's too eminent, he's too knowledgeable, he's at the center of the coronavirus discussion. So he says, for example, on one hand, that at the end of January, the medical and scientific establishment internationally had told the political leadership of the world that an ominous happening was in prospect, and the political leadership paid no attention. As a matter of fact, we all know that the political response to the pandemic has been, in a word, abysmal. And then Horton points out that on March the 11th, when the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic, they were ignored. But the centerpiece of Richard Horton's analysis, with which I could not agree more and affirms the kinds of things we've been saying, and he finds it absolutely astounding, incredible, that over all of the months of the pandemic, there has never been a single global gathering of all the countries in the world, virtually of course, but of all the countries in the world, to discuss what happened, where we are now, and what the future will hold. No such gathering. And he says during the radio interview, where is the World Health Organization? Where is the United Nations? And that's the question. The Secretary General of the United Nations has an enormous convening authority and convening power. Within 48 hours, he could bring all of the countries of the world together, virtually, but all of them together. This is the worst crisis in public health we've had since the end of the Second World War. We've had 10 emergency sessions of the United Nations since it was created. Is the coronavirus not an emergency? Why has the Secretary General not executed his authority? And why am I driving this through the wall? Well, it's AIDS-free world. That's our name. And we understand that the more the coronavirus proliferates, the greater the compromising of the response to HIV and AIDS and the other infectious diseases, tuberculosis and malaria. You know, the prevention is declining, the treatment is declining, the testing is declining, the resources are declining, and on the other hand, the numbers of cases and deaths are increasing. It's absolutely unsustainable. And one of the answers is to have a global discussion of what to do. Look, the Secretary General of the United Nations is called the first citizen of the world. Why, in the midst of the greatest crisis in his mandate, is Antonio Guterres AWOL? I just don't get it. That was last week. I'm Stephen Lewis.